got my shag cardigan on and I'm ready to talk about simple fixes for common design dilemmas in your house. If you're new here, welcome back to Armchair Rearranging, where you send in pictures of your spaces and I give you design advice for free. And today we're doing a rapid fire episode. 3 lovely followers sent in spaces that they're struggling with, and we're gonna take a look and give them some simple advice to fix them. Okay, so here's Alice's living room. And she is struggling with what to do in the corners of her living room. It's a long, relatively narrow space and it has quite high ceilings. Sometimes in a space, especially like this, it's easy to get hyper-focused on a certain aspect of the room that you're not happy with, when in reality, sometimes we need to step back a little bit and think about the space as a whole. Alice told me that she loves the traditional cottage style and she hates white. So looking at this space, there's a lot of white going on, and because the ceilings are so high, it's just making the space feel very open and not very cozy. So the first thing I would do is I would paint the room. I would paint it a really moody color, like maybe a warm terracotta. Alice could even paint the upper third, starting at that railing in the ceiling. She could paint that like a darker hue to add a little bit of contrast if she wanted to. So once we have that, it's gonna make the corners less obvious. They'll blend kind of into the background. And then what I would do is I would get rid of the ceiling light and I would do a pendant fixture that hangs down and brings light closer to the space. There are a couple options that you can do to decorate corners. One option is to put in a comfy reading chair in one corner and with a little side table and a floor lamp. Or you could do like a corner gallery wall where you purposely hang things into the corner. But again, I think once the room is painted and the lighting is brought a little bit lower, it's just gonna make the space feel more cohesive. The next space we're looking at is Sophia's absolutely beautiful dining room. She likes it, but she said it feels a little bit empty to her, but she doesn't want to overcrowd it. And this has happened to me before where I love a space objectively, but something feels like it's missing a little bit. And usually that thing is that it needs to feel more lived in. So the first thing that I would do is it looks like those curtains go on a track. So I would get some darker curtains, maybe in like a nice navy or even like a warm burgundy, something that will complement the blues in the wallpaper. And I would have those curtains be able to go all around that track. And another easy addition would be to fill up that beautiful built-in unit more. So more books, adding in lamps. It's just feeling a little bit empty right now, and that can be a big difference between a space feeling empty and a space feeling complete. Sophia wanted to go a little bit further. I would consider swapping that rectangular dining table for something that's round and larger. This is going to soften out some of the angles of the room. I think a round table would really improve the flow of the room and just make everything feel a little bit more lived in. The last space that we're looking at is Kirsten's absolutely gorgeous living room, but she's struggling because it's a long and narrow living room. And again, like we saw in Alice's space, this is something that's pretty common dilemma. I'll show you the other side too. Here's the other side of Kirsten's living room. Kirsten already had the right idea and she's splitting the living room into 2 sections. And when something's this long and narrow, that's the right move. So Kirsten had been thinking about putting in a big wall unit on that far wall and nestling the TV into that unit and then getting a different couch. And then Kirsten was thinking about having that side of the living room be kind of like a reading area. I would suggest swapping those 2 functions. I would put the TV area by the windows and I would put the reading nook where she's thinking about putting in the big built-in bookshelf. The reason for this is if you're sitting and watching TV, but then somebody wants to go to the other side, they're gonna be walking in front of you if TV station is on this side of the living room versus that side. And I can't quite tell if Kirsten has curtains already in the windows. If not, I would suggest like a mossy olive green curtain. So then when you're watching TV over on that side, curtains can be closed and there's not gonna be any glare to worry about. Kirsten had a lot of plans for a lot of new furniture, so her taste is already beautiful and I can see that it's just gonna be gorgeous. But yeah, just like swapping those 2 areas, I think would make for a bit more of a cohesive flow. If you have an awkward space of your own that you're struggling with or something's just feeling a little bit off, don't be afraid to take a step back and rethink your plans. Sometimes we get hyper fixated on fixing the little things when sometimes we just need to take a step back and consider what's actually the problem. And so hopefully that was helpful. It's kind of fun to do this rapid fire. You're welcome to send in your own spaces. Email me at carlottacisternas@gmail.com with your spaces that you're struggling with. We'll try to take a look. Bye.